What happens to a dream deferred? Does it shrivel like a raisin in the sun?
Dear Shandy.
Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah, we got some callers lined up.
Yeah, good is the day when it's caller day.
Well said.
And today we are joined by a lovely caller named Elaine. Elaine, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Do you mind giving us your age, the ages of anyone in question, and your story, please?
Yes. So I am 30 and I am calling in about my partner who is just shy of being an adult. He's 35. And I am calling because we've kind of hit a conundrum. We live in a small town on the East Coast, and we are trying to figure out where we're wanting to move next. And
I get it. Take a second. She's me.
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out where we want to move next. And he has not been happy living in this town. And we've been here for 5 years so that I can pursue graduate school. And in thinking about the next steps for us, he's wanting to kind of give me a list of places, and I can choose from that list and then apply to jobs from that list. And then we can make our next step. He is really excited about the next step, and he's like wanting to have a kid, buy a house, like all pretty soon, and feeling like in order to take those steps, he wants to know where we're going to be, which I find honestly pretty understandable. But as I am in grad school, there's not a lot of jobs in my area. And I want to be open to choosing the best job for me, regardless of location, and like really pursuing my dream career after all of the stress of grad school kind of winds up. The other kind of conundrum is I'm not even applying to jobs yet. So we're having this conversation and it's like feeling a little bit premature. And it's been snowballing for a while now, which has prompted me to write into you both.
When do you graduate?
It's not a firm date, I think, which is also kind of a source of his stress. I'm hoping to be done around this time next year.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah.
You've been in school for a long time,
5
and it
years,
must be
one left.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also congratulations that whatever you're studying could lead to your dream job.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't necessarily ever get their dream job.
That's
you
true.
know?
Yeah. This is a very exciting time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am really excited about it.
So you got a little emotional at the top. Just tell us about that.
I think it's just hard to think about like the choice. It almost feels like I'm choosing between like pursuing my dream job with vigor and like compromising on a location. Because even if it's a list, sort of the like list itself has been a sticking point for me. And I'm feeling like I want to see what comes up, apply there, discuss like what the options are. I don't want to restrict myself before I've even seen what kinds of jobs are even out there and like what might be possible.
Sure. It's totally understandable. And the emotion comes from the stress of the pressure.
Yeah.
As opposed to necessarily the fear of the loss of the relationship. I know they're part and parcel, but which one's driving more?
That's a really good question. I think the fear of not, like, grad school is not easy, I don't think, for anybody. So I think at the end of this, I really want it to feel like, I worked towards my dream.
Right.
And fear, I think, more lies in feeling like I might be restricted in some way.
Yeah, it feels like you might be compromising your dream and all this work you've put in for this relationship. Which, by the way, just so we're clear, the relationship is good, excellent, average, below average. Where does this relationship stand?
I struggle with that. I think about that a lot when I'm listening to your podcast, honestly, because I think it is really good. I also think I probably, you can even tell in this interaction, tend towards being pretty anxious.
Yeah.
And worry that some things that I'm anxious about are indicators that I don't feel as comfortable as I maybe should. But I don't know if that's something that I'm always going to face.
Well, to be honest, just hearing this quandary makes me anxious. So I don't blame you for being anxious about this. But do you have other areas of anxiety in the relationship outside of this entirely?
I don't know if it's outside of it entirely. I worry that even if we choose a location together and I get a job in that location, I a little bit worry that he's still not going to be happy in that place because he's been so unhappy where we are now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have strong feelings, so you want to go ahead?
I just have a couple more questions. So you've been together, you said, for 5 years?
For 8 years.
8 years, and you've been in this city for school for 5 years.
Yeah.
Quick interjection there. Have you dated people before this relationship? Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
College, I don't know how serious that was. It felt serious at the time, but it was 4 years.
Oh
wow.
That's pretty serious.
Serial monogamist right here.
Yeah. Do you ever feel the wanderlust of dating? Do you feel like you want to ever meet other people, or you're missing out on what's out there?
I don't necessarily feel like I'm missing out that much. I worry that he does. There's been times where he's been talking with other people in ways that has made me think that he is curious about that. And when I ask him about it, he says he's building community and not happy here. So he's here in this location. And so that it's about kind of, meeting other people, but for me it feels less. Yeah.
You're a little paranoid about it. Okay.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
I have to ask you to build on that. When you say he's, what do you mean about conversing with other people, building community?
What is the nature of the interactions?
Yeah.
Just be a little more specific.
Over Instagram, primarily. And unfortunately also he's been on dating apps, but there's been communication where he's said, it hasn't, and I don't know if it's probably going to sound really naive, but I trust that he hasn't taken it further physically, but he has talked to people and said that he loves the attention that he gets from that.
He's told you that?
Yeah.
And how did you find out about this?
The first time I found out about it because I was...
Sorry. Okay. Oh my God.
Oh, dear.
I mean, the first time.
Oh, wow. We opened a can of worms here.
Yeah. Sorry. Hopefully our reaction is...
No, it's on
It sounds
par.
like, okay, you saw it coming.
Yeah.
So the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time was I was opening his phone to check the weather on his phone. And
stormy weather.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that I don't know if I need to even hear. Okay. Go ahead. Finish it. Go ahead.
Well, I kind of do want to.
Sure. Why not?
Well, because what I find interesting is that this wasn't even included in your original sort of story /statement /question. It took us digging.
Yeah. I feel like this is the question.
Well, I feel like it is certainly going to color our answer. I feel like you have to.
Well, my answer was already firm. This has made my answer rock solid. But I want to. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Finish the first situation.
I want to hear the stories about him talking to other people. It's just going to be really informative for us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how much of a story there is. I don't know if it like, I'm sure it sounds kind of insane to say out loud, but I, in my mind, justify it by like, he's lonely. I think it can be easier for like, it's such an easy avenue to meet people and talk to people. That like, as long as he hasn't pursued it more than that, it doesn't, I've like convinced myself, but it's taken a fair amount of mental gymnastics to convince myself.
Do you live together?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a lot of time apart?
Yeah, so his family's on the West Coast, and he goes there pretty frequently but he's like stays with his mom and dad.
Does he ever come back in like a way that seems unfamiliar to you in his general demeanor? Okay. All right.
So there's never been any like indication that there's like any other relationship going on or any
okay.
And did he seem, just one last question, did he seem like sort of flustered when you caught him in red-handed, or was he very
I would like you to describe how
the play-by-play is important here, I think.
And also any subsequent times.
Yeah. The first time like obviously caused a huge fight, and I think I've like loosened as time has gone on, and it's probably happened like 3 or 4 times since then. And I've like confronted him each time, and we've talked about it. And I don't know if I'm like just convincing myself that the reasons he gives me of like building community, and I think the apps can be really addictive, and like that instant gratification that you get from them can be pretty addictive.
How many times exactly have you caught him engaging with someone else? I mean, I know he's trying to build community, but is building community always with
such a community he's building?
He's such a community. Or is it always a woman? Like, can you be more specific? Just so that,
I think that's just sorry, and interrupt one more time. Did you tell him don't ever do that again after the first fight?
Should she have to say that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was like an understanding. She's like, okay, I get it. You're building community. I'll let it pass. I can't even finish the sentence. It sounds so ridiculous. So you said, don't do this again. He did it again. You said, don't do this again. He did it again. You said, okay.
How many times exactly?
She's 3 or 4.
Okay. So 3 or 4 times, and we're talking through Instagram DMs and or dating apps.
Yeah. And one time I like found like the girl had like shared her number, and I texted her because I was curious, not like in any sort of anger towards her, but
you have the right to,
curious whether he had told her that like he was in a relationship or anything. And the weird thing is she was also in a relationship and said she was just looking for climbing buddies.
What does that mean? Climbing? Like, actual rock climbing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
God. But yeah, she had, so that I think probably colored my impression as well, because I was like, other people do this.
Okay. It's a weird thing to do.
Were the conversations you stumbled upon, did they make you uncomfortable in their nature?
In their nature, because the general thing was uncomfortable to me, but in the conversation itself, like if they were texts with a girl that I knew in real life, I wouldn't be uncomfortable.
Okay.
Just one last thing on this.
I have so many questions.
But we only have a certain amount of time, so we got to wrap this up.
No, we're gonna talk as long as we need to.
Okay. So are there any other signs in this relationship? Are there any other cracks that you're either overlooking or you're aware of? What else is going on in this relationship that's not up to your satisfaction, that gives you unease?
Honestly, I think other than the location thing, and that whole, bananas deal, I don't think there's nothing like, other than that, I feel like I love our day-to-day life together. I love like the things we do together. I think we are like good partners in the home, and I like that.
And you're in love with him, like no question. And he's in love with you. He tells you he loves you, and he shows it. And there doesn't seem okay. So look, it's possible we need to write this off as something we just don't know is a problem. To me, it sounds crazy. I know you're thinking it's a red flag.
Red flag. This is beyond red flag.
It seems like such
I have
a red
such
flag.
a strong
I almost
opinion.
can't
I don't know where
believe
to
it's
start.
a red flag.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So I truly, just from chatting with you for a little while, I really feel like there is some gaslighting going on here, where he is making you feel like, or he's blaming you for his unhappiness in your current location. And therefore that's his sort of carte blanche for being caught on dating apps. Is that how you perceive it? Or is this do I just not have enough information? Because the fact that he would be like, I'm just building community because I'm lonely here. I hate this city. How many times do I have to tell you that he's blaming you?
But also, I want to make note of something. Like, I will, in an extreme situation, which I don't understand life right now. Maybe this is a thing people do. Maybe I'm out of touch. I've never heard of this, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt. What I will not give the benefit of the doubt to is the fact that you said, do not do this again. And he did it again and again and again. That is the red flag to me. Believe it or not, I'm actually giving a pass, because maybe I'm out of touch on the actual dating site communication. The not listening to you and lying to you, I don't give a pass on. So there's a communication problem there.
What are your thoughts?
At the very least.
What are your thoughts on what we've said so far?
Oddly enough, I do really feel similarly, Andy, in that, like, I think Sharleen, if like I were listening to me as if I were my own friend and I heard somebody describing this, I would be like fully on your camp with like, this is, so many red flags. But then, like, being in the relationship myself, I think I do feel like the bigger issue is that, like, I've expressed that this has given me like a high level of anxiety, and that's not like been respected.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have told him that this list he has on cities that he's open to living in. Where are we with that today? Are you able to tell him how it makes you feel when he puts this kind of pressure on you?
Yeah. The tough thing is that I've told him and he understands, I think. But it doesn't change the fact that, like, he wants control over where we'll be next. Not control, like a say, I guess. And I understand that, because I feel like I have a lot of friends who feel like a high fidelity to where they're from. But like, just in the position that I'm in personally, it feels like that doesn't align.
I'm going to state my opinion now, so I can't hold back anymore.
Honestly, my heart is racing listening to this one. I'm like getting emotional with this one.
Yeah. You have absolutely no choice. I'm not giving you the choice here. You have to pursue your job, and where your job takes you is where you're going to live based on your dream. And he has to deal with that. That's my opinion. I don't see any compromise here. If you get 2 jobs or 3 jobs, then maybe, and you say, yeah, these are all similar, then he can pick. But he has to wait till you're applying for jobs and you figure that stuff out, especially after the dating site fiasco. You are in control here. Do not let him drive this ship. Okay? Seriously. Like, this to me is black and white.
What is his job situation in this city that he despises so?
He works remotely, which I think is part of the community problem.
Okay, so he's able. Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, but yeah, I think we were going to say the same thing. Also, not a problem for where we move, because he'll stay remote.
Exactly.
Interesting. So my point being that he has not actually had to make any sort of professional sacrifice to live where you are currently. He just doesn't like the culture, or he finds it too small?
Yeah, I think a big thing is too that he'd like to be closer to his family. I think ideally in the same town, but at least like on the other side of the country.
Okay, and maybe that'll happen. Just she has to wait and see how this plays out.
The word that stands out to me here is control. When you said he'd like to have control, and then you corrected yourself to say, no, he just wants a say. I feel like control was the right word, because it sounds like he feels very out of control living in a city he's not comfortable with. But, and I understand that, you know, it's in the interest of your career. I just feel like it's very like checks and balances right now. Like he's really keeping tabs on how much he's sacrificed for you. And now it's your turn to only apply for jobs in cities that he wants to live in. And look, this is an ongoing issue. You know, we've been doing this for almost 4 years now. I think the city you live in, the location, the country, whatever, it comes up a lot because it is not easy if you are from different parts of the country. And of course, we're all more mobile than we've ever been before. We can all work remotely. So it really, you get down to brass tacks of like, where do you want to live? No, I don't want to live there. And that can be the reason why a couple breaks up. Sure. If you were to break up over the geography, you would not be the first couple for that to happen. But I agree that, you know, the heart of the issue with the dating apps and all that is the fact that you stated how you felt about it and he continued to do it. But I feel like it's all like shrouded in like, oh, well, I'm uncomfortable here. And you're like, well, maybe this is how it works. Like the conversation, had it been a girl I'm friends with, I don't know. Does it not make you uncomfortable at the end of the day? Like there's such a lack of certainty in how you talk about him, even when you're like, I don't think he's done it again. Or as far as I know, it feels like there's a chasm between the two of you. You live together and you've been together for 8 years. I feel like at this point, you should know what the other is thinking. You should be like almost like finishing each other's sentences level. And maybe you are in some ways, but to me, it doesn't feel like you're partners in this aspect. Is what I'm saying, does any of it, if I'm overstepping or saying anything that sounds wrong, you can tell me.
No, everything you're saying feels true.
But he's also not getting behind your dream.
That too, yes.
Why is he not getting behind your dream? This is your dream. He doesn't have a dream to live in a city that, you know, he prefers over some other city. That's just a preference. This is your dream. And he's like poo-pooing on it. He's like, no, forget about that. I just want to live in some place I want to live. I don't care about your dream. And also, I'm going to be on dating sites when I want, whether you tell me to or not.
Building community. Even though you told me not to do it. I'm going to build my community on dating sites. Let me tell you something. There's plenty of ways to build community that's not on a dating site. I'm sorry. I don't care how old I am or how out of touch I am. I refuse to believe the only way to build community is on a dating site. I mean, I agree.
Does he want an open relationship? If you want to ask him that question, is he an eccentric guy?
She's shaking her head.
No, I see that.
I'm just for our listeners.
For our audience, yeah.
No one will be able to see.
She's not open. Yeah, that's not happening. Is he like, what kind of guy is he? Is he shy? Is he outgoing? Is he eccentric? Is he, you know, introverted? What kind of person is he?
I've always wondered whether he's like eccentric or introverted. I think he like desires to be around people, maybe even more so than I do. But I think like in groups, he tends to be seeming more introverted.
Interesting. Okay.
I want to circle back to something you said early on where you feared that you would make these sacrifices on your dream career based on a city he had pre-chosen for this list, and then he would not be happy still. And I feel like there's a parallel there and him with this, you know, sort of grass is greener mentality of him building community on his phone with other women. I don't know if that is a great indicator for someone to like build a life or at least make sacrifices for. Sacrificing something that you're sure about. You do seem sure about your career.
Yeah, you know, you have one dream that you're sure of. This other dream of a family and a life with this guy, I think is a little wobbly. I don't think it's that clear.
Is he your dream guy?
I think in a lot of ways he is, but I also worry that my dream guy wouldn't ask me to not pursue a dream that I've had since childhood.
Thank you.
Bingo.
Progress.
Ding, ding. Oh, we need to have a bell here for a moment like that. right?
Yeah, we should. I love those bells at the bar for last call.
Yeah. Or it's like when they make a big sale on those real estate shows.
Yeah.
But seriously, that was $1 million answer. I feel like you just answered your own question with that.
You've got one dream and one confusing, maybe dreamy,
a partial dream.
thing.
It's like and also I can't help but wonder, you've been together 8 years. That's such a long time. It's such a long time and so much investment and so much comfort to end it without a real quote unquote reason.
Yeah. It's we're not telling you to end this relationship. I'm not going to go there because I just don't. You seem like you have a very good head on your shoulders. I'm assuming you're making good judgments in your life. Like if someone else told us this story, it might be a different response. Why is this guy not building community with guys? That's that's a big question I have.
Or not on dating apps.
No, but
they don't have to be guys, but it's so fishy.
I'm trying to give as much benefit here as I can.
Sorry.
Why is he not building community with guys? Is he building community with guys on Instagram or somewhere else? Or is it just girls?
In person, yes, I would say. And that's, I think, where I get confused. That's, I think, where I worry about that, like, grass is greener idea, because, like, we do have friends here. He has, like, male friendships here. It kind of makes me worried, like, what, like, are you not getting from those? That causes you to say, I don't like this place because I don't have community here.
I think I'm going to just make a statement here. So it's very juicy. You came in with a heavy, came in really hot on this one. It's a lot. I'm going to say that at the very least, this guy is not cheating at all. He's not doing anything inappropriate physically or necessarily emotionally, but he is very curious and he wants to sow his oats. He feels like he's missing out on some female something.
And he's blaming you for it.
And he's blaming you.
He's blaming his location.
Yes.
Which is blaming you.
He's by proxy blaming the location through you. He's blaming you. It's a passive aggressive
I'm sorry,
move.
I feel like it's gaslighting.
It is. Well, it's passive aggression, gaslighting, whatever you want to call it. But there is I'm saying at the very least, this is with me giving him a full benefit of the doubt. At the very least, he's curious in a non-platonic way. And maybe he doesn't even fully know what he's doing. But I'm telling you right now, there is no way this is 100% innocent. Like, I need to build community. That's BS.
Well, I don't think she thinks that.
She doesn't think that either, but I think she's accepting it. And maybe she's allowing that.
Can I ask,
that narrative.
Were you going to share the Instagram dating app thing had we not dug it up? No judgment. I'm just curious. No. I want you to answer it for yourself.
I had thought about that a lot because, frankly, I had thought about writing in about just that before, but then this location question felt pertinent. And then when I was thinking about questions you all usually ask, I was figuring you'd ask something about general other kind of relationship health sorts of check-in questions. And I think the anxiety I've gotten from all of the dating shenanigans has really harmed our relationship health. So I was going to bring it up in that context.
Okay. I mean, I feel like the trust has to have been affected by that. I can't imagine how it wouldn't be. And I want to circle back quickly because Andy dove in.
Sorry.
But no, I mean, we're both just so chomping at the bit. But when you were talking about him just before Andy spoke, you talked about being worried and confused. Worried and confused. Those were words that have been coming up a lot. And again, to use your own words, are those feelings that you would have with someone who's really your dream partner? And look, I get we all have to make concessions. We all have to compromise in relationships, but you make those compromises and those concessions because the person doesn't make you worried or confused. It's worth it. It's worth it because you're so sure about this that you're like, okay, honey, let's move to the West Coast. Let's move to the town you grew up in because I know I want you. I'm 100% sure. And I don't like these other sacrifices are not really sacrifices to me because I get that that's your dream and I can maybe pursue something that looks like my dream with, we can do it together. That's not what I'm getting from your story here. I'm getting like worry and confusion. And that is, you're 30, you have so much opportunity ahead of you. It would really be heartbreaking to see you limit yourself at this point in your life after all these years of school, limit what you can do with your career based on an arbitrary list that this guy who you don't even fully trust came up with.
It comes back to the concept that this is a sure thing. Your PhD and this dream path of your career is a sure thing. This, it's black and white. You have love here. This is built on love and excitement. The other thing is very shaky. And I'm not shitting on your relationship as a whole. I'm just saying from what we've heard, I think it's shaky. Go with the thing that's obvious.
You feel sure about.
And if the thing that's shaky falls apart because of your choice to go with the thing that's obvious, then it wasn't meant to be, and you're better off for it. And if the thing that's shaky firms up as a result of your choice, which it may, then it's a win-win. You have only one choice here. Do not waver from it. Promise us.
Elaine, what were you expecting us to say? Is what we're saying what you expected? Just how are you feeling right now?
It feels really good, honestly, to talk it out with people who aren't my parents and my close friends, because I think what you're saying really aligns with what they have said in terms of I have been passionate about this since I was a little kid, and I'm really excited about pursuing it. And to agree to this list feels artificially cutting myself off before I've even had the chance to try.
You have good friends and good family.
Yeah.
They're all giving you good advice.
And I also have to quickly add, for there to be a list at all when you haven't even graduated, you haven't even applied, there's no crossing that bridge when you get there. It's just, that's where the word control comes in.
Why don't you give him a list of dating sites he's not allowed to go on in response?
Seriously. And the fact that to me feels controlling because it's you will apply to jobs based on this list. There's no just letting things develop. The journey, not the destination. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens together. That's what life is not knowing. The best stuff comes out of not knowing.
Yeah. It's helpful to hear because I've always had this thought in my head where it's well, maybe I'm being unfair to him because he says his family and friends all are telling him essentially that he made this move for me and the next move, it makes sense for him to want more of a say in.
See, that's the checks and balances part. That's concerning to me. That is not.
No, it's not quid pro quo.
No, it's not how it works.
No.
You don't then hold it against someone.
Yeah.
Elaine.
I am done.
I don't feel like we need to say anymore because I feel like
this is clear.
This was a conversation.
Yeah.
I think we've made our thoughts known. And now it's time for you to marinate.
Yeah. If you don't do what I told you to do, I'm going to come find you.
You're allowed to do whatever feels right. But, you called in for a reason. Right.
Yeah. I mean, everything you've said, I feel thinking about how I feel after this conversation, I do feel a sense of clarity that I was lacking, spinning my wheels before.
Good.
Okay. Elaine, good. I want to give you a hug.
Yeah.
It did seem ominous. She's not at home.
Mm-hmm.
She's
neutral
somewhere else.
Neutral place.
She's in a third location. What do they call it? Third.
Every time we have callers coming from a neutral zone, I always feel uneasy. Why aren't you at home?
Well, it's just interesting. She's not at home, and we commented on it before we started rolling. But now I know why, and all you have lots to think about.
Yeah.
And we'll be thinking of you. Please keep us updated, no matter what you choose. No judgment.
Yeah.
Just do what actually feels right and not what you're told to do.
Thank you.
Okay, Elaine. Okay, have a good one.
Yeah, good
Thank
luck.
you. Thanks for trusting us with this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Bye.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if I have anything to add.
No, I don't have anything to add.
I have to quickly, sorry, I just have an
Oh,
anecdote.
I knew there was
I
something.
dated a guy once
Yeah.
who, when we were on and off towards the end of our relationship for years. And when I was really trying to break it off for the final time, he suddenly brought up all the money he had spent on plane rides to visit me over the years.
Oh, God.
And I was kind of blown away because, I didn't realize he'd been keeping track.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was, instead of, I feel like he meant for that to convince me to stay or for me to feel obligated or, indebted to him in some way. Instead, all I could think was, wow, checks and balances.
Yeah.
Like, that is not partnership material.
No, I agree.
I'm sorry. It's
I
not
agree.
someone who's like, well, I did this for you. It's your turn.
I agree.
It should never veer into that territory. And the fact that he's got an obvious wandering eye and then somehow blaming her for it. I mean, come on.
What happens to a dream deferred? Does it shrivel like a raisin in the sun? By the way, was your friend flying coach or first class? Makes a difference.
Wait,
I'm just kidding.
I was like, I'm not sure actually. Okay, I have nothing to add.
Nothing.
I feel like we're just all going to be waiting with bated breath to find out what she does.
I know a lot of people too are going to come at us like, oh my God, how did you not just say it's over because of the dating sites? But you know what? Did she seem like a crazy person?
No.
Did she seem like an irrational person?
She seemed like someone who's been, frankly, confused into thinking that this was like maybe kind of okay. She was like, I'm just not sure. Like maybe if I knew the girl, it would have been okay. That confusion, you never want to be confused.
No.
And then
especially if you have an amazing choice sitting there, a lifelong dream that you are on the train tracks and there's another train coming and the guy forgot to change the track thing. What do you call it? A track?
I don't know. The thing that switches the track's
changes
direction.
to a different track.
Yeah.
Hey, he's asleep. The guy's asleep and this train's coming along. And are you going to I guess you're going to fire the guy. I'm not sure where this analogy is going, but the point is
his train would be derailing her train, and she's actually sure about that train's tracks.
That's what I'm saying. She's on a train on tracks. She knows where she's going.
Yes.
This train, it's terrible analogy.
I actually think it works. This train served her for a while, and you know what? I mean, I think we all know, we hope she does, but I think that she probably learned a lot being on that train for 8 years. She now knows what she really wants, what she loved in that relationship, maybe what she was missing. Maybe she's like, oh, now I really want to be with someone who I can trust.
I just trust. The problem with the analogy is she's actually on two trains at the same time. That's the part I'm having trouble with. But
that's the issue.
Anyway, stay on the right train. That's all I got to say.
Stay on the train that feels right. And one of those trains she's sure about. Okay. I mean, I just can't wait for an update.
By the way, did I mention to you that I've been building community? It's a Tinder. It's a community building site.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify
podcast ratings and reviews, tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.